today we've got the Battle of Britain. Is it going to be the Cotswolds or Cottingham? We're going to let these giants battle it out and we'll let you decide which is the best one. Hi guys, I'm Luke from We Buy Any Motor Caravan and I've got something a little bit different for you today. And trust me, you're not seeing double. We've got two different motorhomes. So we've got the Auto-Sleeper Air and then we've got the Swift Monza Summit Edition. Now, looking at them just up close, pretty similar. Only thing that's slightly different is a little bit of the branding on there. But in terms of length, weight and everything like that, they're exactly the same. I mean, both of them are on the 3.4 ton chassis for both of them, so you could still drive them under the C1 license, so you're absolutely fine. And then both of them are just under 4.5 metre in length as well, so literally twins straight out of the packet, looking exactly the same. So the only thing that you can see logically from a distance, the Monza does have quite nice decals in terms of the fact of this one is the Summit Edition, so this is why you do get these kind of things going round it. And then you've obviously got the upgraded alloys as well, whereas when you're looking at the Auto-Sleeper, you have still branding but a bit more limited and reserved, and then you've obviously got the standard Ford Transit alloys which you would get from base. Now, I don't know about you, but I think looking at both of them side to side, you wouldn't see too much of a difference, apart from the fact that one is a little bit more stylized, I would say. And I think it's up to people to make a decision about what's better. Both of them will be £73,000 from new. So again, a lot of money for a camper van. I mean, I think I would want a VW for that kind of money, but still, the Ford is a very lovely vehicle. So what I would say first is let me show you the Auto-Sleeper and then we can start having a look and see and compare. So starting on this one, as I said, you do have the Thule awning on here. So this one would only be a 3 metre awning, just given the length of the van. So it does give you plenty of space to come over if you do have like an outdoor grill or anything like that. With this being an Auto-Sleeper, they're not super big on branding. They like to keep it very understated, very normal. They don't like to make it very loud and in your face, which completely goes against the grain with the colour of the vehicle. But you've got to have a little bit of colour pop in your life, I feel like. So you do have a standard Omni step underneath it as well. This would come standard with the vehicle. And then if you follow me around to the rear of the vehicle, you do have the large sort of lifting door at the rear. So behind this, you would have your gas tank, which is located just on this side. And you do have your reversing sensors from standard as well on this one. So if you follow me around to this side, I think this is the only disappointing part of the vehicle, I feel like. In comparison to the Monza, which I'll show you soon, it does only have the one sliding door, whereas the Monza can slide from both sides. So as I was saying, looking at this sort of side, it's a lot of wasted space in my opinion. You've not got anything like an external water point, you've not got anything towards the top of the vehicle, and obviously the branding is very limited on this side. You've just got a couple of black decals and then the standard Air decal at the rear also. But enough talking about the outside, let's have a quick look at the inside. So now you've joined me inside. So this van, I think if you've ever been in other Auto-Sleepers, it does look very similar. The sort of crushed velvet effect here, very subtle Auto-Sleeper branding just here also. I like it personally. I think it's kind of a classic feel in here. It's very Auto-Sleeper, very in keeping with their brand. There's nothing to sort of shout about when you're talking about the cabinets or talking about the worktops or anything like that. It's something that you would very much expect. And then you do have obviously the branding around your window just here. So obviously you do have the pop-up just here for one berth. And then you've obviously got this, which is the rock and roll bed, which will fold down into another one. So let me show you the cab. So now that you're passenger princess in this one, you can have a look and see the sort of crushed velvet effect has followed its way all the way through the van. And you can also see that this is on the 6-speed manual 130 brake horsepower engine on the Ford. Now, the bonuses with this is the fact that it comes with the standard Ford head unit, which, to be fair, Apple CarPlay, it's got everything that you would possibly need in here. But again, not anything to sort of scream and shout about, but it is very functional for what it is. So let me show you the Monza. And as if by magic, we're here. Now, this one, Swift Monza. So this is one of their first sort of soirees into a Ford-based camper van. So they have always had the Carreras, or you've always had the Selects, which have always been on the Fiat. So this is the first sort of step in the right direction for a slightly smaller camper. Now, this one is the Summit Edition. So this is something which is a Loudon special, which they put on there, which is why you've got the sort of beefier alloys here than obviously what you've seen on the Auto-Sleeper. And there's just a little bit more going on because you've sort of got the silver trim everywhere on the side of the vehicle. And as we mentioned before, you do have two sliding doors. So you've got one this side and then you've got one on the other side. Now, this one is not particularly functional. I'll be honest, it's just more for if you're going to be cooking and you don't want all the smell in the van, you just want the air to circulate straight through. It's a good way of creating some space. And then if you follow me around to the rear, right, now we're at the rear of the vehicle. Still really important, you've still got your gas that's just back here. And if you were to lift this up, you do have just quite an empty space here. With it being a rock and roll bed in both of these vehicles, you don't get a ton of workable space if the bed is obviously down. But if you want to follow me around to this side, this is obviously where I would probably say the Swift Monza has the edge, because you've still got quite complicated branding. It's very nice. They've designed their own logo for the Monza as well to make it the start of the range, I would say, because there is talks of whether there's going to be a slightly bigger Ford that comes out on the Monza. And then obviously you've got your secondary sliding door. So let's go inside. In this one, you've got very different interior. You've got the sort of leather seating here mixed with the cross stitching, which I would say is a little bit more boring. It caused an argument between me and the camera lady because she told me that she preferred the inside of this one more. Maybe I'm just more of an old spirit, I'm not sure, you'll have to let me know. But this one is nice. I still think the inside is very good. Swift are particularly good at making things look sort of simple but still quite modern. I think one of the favourite features in here is this spice rack. I mean, it's a really good use of space that you've got here, and it's quite a good sort of length as well in terms of the actual usage on there. Now, you do have quite a lot of workspace in here in comparison to the Auto-Sleeper Air, but a lot of it is taken up by your sort of hob and then your sink. You do obviously have your pop-up just here, so same as the other, you've got your two berth here, which rolls down into the rock and roll bed. But let me show you the front. Right, now we're in the front of the vehicle. Now, the only thing which is slightly different about this one, I would say, other than the very obvious interior, you do have this quite big pocket here, which is obviously your cup holders, but again, more usable space for if you're taking it on the road. I'm not the only person to have driven one of these and gone, do you know what, I've got nowhere to put my milkshake. So we need to make sure that we've got space for that whilst we're out and about. But again, 6-speed manual on the Ford engine, which is the 130 brake horsepower, so not too different in terms of that, but let's sum everything up. So we've now seen both of them. We have got Swift Monza, made in Cottingham, and then Auto-Sleeper Air, made in the Cotswolds. So I think it's very fitting for the sort of areas. So you've got something quite classic, very modern and something like that. Whereas you've got the Monza, which is a bit more set up for a family, a little bit flashier, I would probably say. So I would probably say, in my opinion, I would go for the Monza. I think you just get a little bit more for the money in terms of the branding, the little bit of extras on there, the two sliding doors as well. And considering they're exactly the same, I don't know why you would go for this one instead of this one, unless you have an affinity to Auto-Sleeper as a brand. So I'll let you guys decide whether it's double trouble or if there is a clear favourite. But what I would say is like, subscribe, make sure you hit the bell button to make sure you don't miss any of our uploads. And I think the battle's been won.